These Commander cards are pretty bad, but we're playing them anyway.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds. You already know what I'm about to say. We have a Patreon. You can give us direct money from your wallet straight to the channel, pump it right into our veins, and helps us live longer, although that would actually kill us. We're not going to literally do that. If you do it, you will get some sick perks in response.
And we will love you as much as we can without making you uncomfortable, just like we love our patron, Scott Tholen. Thank you, Scott, for your support.
What a great guy.
Sponsor of this channel, Cool Stuff Inc. You can go there to buy all of your singles, all of your sealed product.
Your doubles.
Your doubles.
Triples.
Your triples. I don't know if they have doubles or triples, but check. They might have them. They got board games. They got all this amazing stuff. But you're a Magic player, so you're going to buy Magic cards anyway. Go there, use code
Nerds.
And if you use code
Nerds,
then you will be supporting the
Nerds.
That's
5% off. You get to save real money.
That's us, I was going to say, but I was hoping you would go nerds. That's,
nerds.
Yes. Everything I say when I point,
nerds.
You say nerds.
Yes. I'm a trained animal.
Beezy now understands
nerds
when to say nerds.
I like it.
But also, Cool Stuff Inc. is running Command Fest for the pre-release of
Nerds.
Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings set.
I did nothing wrong.
The Lord of the Rings set is coming out June 16th to the 18th is a pre-release. We'll be there all weekend. Come see us. Coming out. Make sure you're there so that you can support us, support Cool Stuff, and play Magic the Gathering with
Nerds.
Yes, Beezy gets it.
And I'm thinking if you're looking for the best sleeves in the multiverse,
good sleeves,
I would probably check out Dragon Shield. We got an EU and a US link. You can shop through those links to support the channel while also buying the sleeves that you love. And I got to wish a happy birthday to everyone whose birthday falls on today.
Yes, seriously, Dragon Shield, we use them on every single one of our decks, and we suggest you do the same. Mine favorite are dual mats. What are your favorite sleeves?
I'm less of a dual mat fan. I'm too big of a fan of the mats to even try the dual mat. Like, I've tried dual mats. They're cool, but I mostly use the mats.
The guarantee that no matter what color I get on my sleeve, I will not be able to see through them. Makes the dual mats chef's kiss.
I just like opening my giant deck box to a rainbow of nonsense.
Yes. Today we got a really fun video. Usually when we sit here in front of you, in front of this camera, we give you suggestions for upgrading your deck, making your deck more powerful and more synergistic, which we always suggest if you want to win more games. But that is not the only goal of Commander. In fact, it's not even the first goal. The first goal of every Commander game is for each player at the table to have fun. That's what we're looking to do. And sometimes the best way to do that is to play cards that aren't as efficient, aren't the best, or don't fill the slot in the best way because they're fun.
Yeah, these cards are just kind of bad. In terms of like upgrading a deck, I will hardly ever suggest any of these cards, but we really enjoy them. We think playing with them adds a little something, and we'll get to that specifically why we like them. This isn't so much of a pet cards video. I wouldn't really say that these are like pet cards. They're cards we play while knowing they're not that great.
And these cards will vary from person to person. These are just cards that we have in our decks because we find them fun and we find them unique. Everybody has their own fun cards that they're going to put in a deck anyway. Like, they're going to go, this card's bad, I'm going to play it anyway. Every single person who's playing Grave Titan has to be saying that.
Right.
Why else would it be in decks?
It's not for power. It's certainly not for power. Let's go to my first one. We're going to alternate here. My first one is Prototype Portal. Proof that this is not a pet cards list. I could care less about this card. This is 4 mana, and it enters the battlefield, and you got to exile a card from your hand, so you're already down a card. But then you can like tap it and pay the mana value of the card to put a token copy into play. And I kind of have this as like a challenge accepted / achievement unlocked in my Brutaclad deck. I want that deck to be like way off the wall weirdo. This is a really weird card. So I've stacked the deck full of like artifact lands so that this says 4, exile a land from your hand, tap it, make a land token that no one can really interact with, and now you just keep pooping out land tokens every turn, which is pretty sweet. It just adds this like nice layer of mini challenge, plus the reward is okay. You get paid off a little bit, and then you can make the tokens into something else later. But this card sucks.
It's really funny. What I really like about this card and what I find unique is that you get to keep pumping out tokens. Like you said, the artifact land's your goal. Like, that's what you're trying to do.
Sometimes it doesn't work.
Sometimes you don't have both of those. You don't draw both at the same time. Or just look at the rate. Like, how long until you're paid off and get your mana back? It takes 3 turns to get your mana back that you've put into this in your lands. And I know there's synergies in the deck.
I've had to do like Solemn Simulacrum, and it's like you pay 4, you lose a card in your hand, then you pay 4, so now you're paying 8 mana for a sad robot. It's like you never get paid off.
And then by the time you've made 2 sad robots, that's when you've actually got it. Now you've gotten 2 cards, which is what you spent in the first place.
Right, and it's horrible, but I love the added layer it adds, and when you like go off, it's pretty satisfying.
It's a very fun card.
Right, so instead of playing all these boring staples and stuff, I'm moving more towards the prototype portals of like, look at my weird deck.
Yeah, for me, my next one is Promise of Loyalty. Now, there is a million good board wipes in this format. There's so many. They are all over the place. And
Especially in white.
Especially in white. So we're in white, obviously, if we're playing Promise of Loyalty. But I put this one in over the Farewells, over the Tragic Arrogances, because I love the flavor. I think it's super cool.
What does it do?
Well, it is 5 mana. Each player chooses a creature they control, put a loyalty counter on it. All the creatures with loyalty counters can't attack you or planeswalkers you control.
Is it a vow counter? It can't be a loyalty counter.
You're right, it is a vow. I believe it's regardless.
Whatever.
But this is a 5 mana kind of overcosted board wipe that leaves the best things behind.
But they can't attack you, so it's like a forced deal.
Yeah, but it's a forced deal. But then you have to just think about it, like, what makes this card not actually that good? The struggle with this card is a lot of the best things in the format don't need to attack to be good. That's not what all the best things in the format do. Some of them sacrifice creatures. Some of them, draw cards, like a Consecrated Sphinx. It's like,
well, if you've seen our video that we just put out of must-kill commander cards, I don't think a single one of them cares at all about attacking.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you just don't actually answer the biggest threat on everyone's side, but it's cool and it's fun. And I also have this in a Rule 0 deck where my planeswalker, or my commander, is a planeswalker.
Elspeth.
So it has a little bit more flavor because now whenever creatures left can't attack my Elspeth.
Yes. You look at this card and you just go, you've seen Tragic Arrogance, right? And it's like, yeah, we're going to step away from it for a little bit of a flavor win.
When you give your opponents the choice, the Tragic Arrogance flips from one of the best board wipes in the format to unplayable, because look at Cataclysmic Gearhold.
Right. Nobody even knows that card. Everyone forgot about that card. I want to go to my next one. I just think this card's hilarious, and I think it's really annoying, so that's why I play it. It's Spiketail Drakeling. You've probably never heard of it before. It's 1 blue for a 2/2, and you can sacrifice it to counter a spell unless somebody plays 2. I have this card in like a pay attention to the board state deck where you just have to look at my stuff because it all does stuff on board. And this thing, I just kind of enjoy how, like, it's not like a stacks piece, it's not stopping anybody from playing, but it's just annoying, and it just makes me laugh. So I play this card even though it's not that great.
This card is like a limited card. Like, it is not a commander card, and it's definitely not up to snuff power level wise. I mean, Mana Leak is unplayable in this format, and that card's way better than this little Drake that basically does nothing because it just annoys your opponents and makes them think you're going to get their stuff countered, even though half the time you're not going to do it. Even if you counter a spell with this, you put cancel. Like, so the best part of this is like it's Windrake that could be cancel if someone taps out.
I like this card because it's kind of like the table can laugh at it being annoying, but I think it's actually really annoying for what it looks like, which is trash. It's kind of like the threat of activation makes people not want to tap out for their best spell because it's not really worth it for me to spend 3 on a counterspell, but it's not really worth it for them to waste their whole turn either. So it kind of just ends up being like, this card's so stupid, and then they're like, I can't play my 5-drop, and then they just pass, and you're just like, Spiketail Drakeling.
All right, my next one is Phyrexian Dragon Engine. 3 mana, 2/2 with double strike, and then you can bring it back from the graveyard. If you do, you discard your hand and draw a fresh new 3, and it can
fresh 3.
You do draw a fresh 3.
That's like a stale 3.
It's a fresh 3.
I've only heard fresh be referred to as like a fresh 7.
Fresh 3. You can get a fresh 3.
Okay.
All right, we get a fresh 3. I think this card is just pretty bad in Commander.
Oh, don't forget it melds with Mishra.
That's the whole reason I play it, because Mishra is an actual factual good card in my deck. I'm playing this in Ishin. This card is bad. Like, the Phyrexian Dragon Engine is actually terrible, and Mishra should just be in the deck by itself. But the actual chance to flip Mishra into this giant thing, one, Mishra flipping is just okay. Like, it's not broken. It's pretty good. It's not broken or busted. But playing this awful card just for the chance to flip over and make this giant meld thing is worth it. Worth it every single time.
I like this card. It just has no synergy at all. And it's like, hey, where's Mishra?
Exactly.
Bring me Mishra.
When you draw this card without Mishra, you're just like, this is terrible. What am I ever supposed to do with
Double
this?
strike.
If I run out of cards in my hand and this thing dies and it's in my graveyard at that exact time, I can draw 3. Woo!
Look out.
Watch out, baby.
All right, my next one, Ob Nixilis, the Adversary. I read this card when it came out, and I just thought, this card's freaking awesome. Like, I think it's so cool. It's one of the coolest designed planeswalkers ever. Unfortunately, it's wasted on Ob Nixilis, who's like a complete jobber for any hero who might be in the 5-mile radius. But I love the card itself. Forget Ob Nixilis. The fact that you can make 2 planeswalkers and just start ticking up and down and just like fiddling with all these knobs and buttons is super cool to me. So I put it in a control deck. Honestly, hasn't been as complete garbage as I thought, but it should just be another card.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, Ob Nixilis is another thing. It gives your opponents choices.
Yeah, I'm not going to read the whole card. It's just like they might discard a card or you make a devil.
Yeah, that's the problem with this card. They literally just get the choices, and because your opponents are getting the choices on the plus, this card really doesn't do anything. It doesn't make them discard when they don't want to. It doesn't make them lose life when they don't want to. They get the choice. This card just kind of sits on the battlefield and is very slightly annoying while not actually affecting the game at all.
Yeah, it doesn't really get attacked because people are like, I'd rather have the Monarchy. And I'm just like, cool, I get to mess around with my Ob Nixilis some more. It's weird, though. Some people discard cards when they should not be discarding cards. Where they're like 32 and they're like, no, I can discard this land. It's like, really?
Yeah, I mean, I'll discard a land if I have like 5 lands in hand.
Yeah, but not like you got 4 cards in hand. Discard a land instead of losing 2.
Yeah, it depends where my life total's at. That's what really matters.
Don't give this card more credit than it deserves.
I mean, this card was going to break standard, remember?
Yeah, it did. It broke standard and got banned. You remember?
No.
Ooh.
Didn't happen. Moving on, we have Agitator Ant. 3 mana at your end step. You can put 2 counters on something. Every player gets a choice to put 2 counters on something. If they do, until your next upkeep, that creature is goaded.
We're giving players a choice again.
We're giving players a choice not to take it. Agitator Ant, when everyone's taking it, does start dishing out a lot of damage really fast. Players just don't take it when it doesn't matter, and they take it when it does matter. When we're giving them the choice, it's bad. I play this in Helana, where I want to put my 2 counters onto my commander so that I can actually do something. This card is totally passable, playable, and okay. But is more of a very low power card. And where I play Helana, which is, more of the mid power to like mid high power, it really doesn't belong in that deck. But I find this card so fun, so cool. I love the mini game. Give you guys choices. You guys want some counters? Well, it actually does have some synergy in my deck. The Ant itself never attacks, but it can put counters on other things.
Actually, well, this is worth noting while we're talking about the card. If you play it, it's worded it's a really bad wording because you should always put the counters on your cards for free. They're goaded until your next turn, so they'll never have to attack. They goaded at the end step until your next turn, so you get the counters for free no matter what. I just don't think that's very clear on the card.
Yeah, it is a little confusing. Like, yes, you will not be forced to attack with the creature you put counters on because the goad will have worn off by the time your turn comes around. The fact is, it just didn't need to goad your creature, but whatever. Maybe it was less words to word it this way. Card is, like I said, I think it's a low power card. Very good in like draft type environments, like our commander queue. I don't know if it's in there anymore, but it was in there at one point.
Good, yeah.
And it was a very good card.
Yeah, let's go to Warping Whale. This is like a counterspell, and I played it in a mono white deck because they don't really have access to counterspells. I don't think Lapse of Certainty is like any good at all. So I tried this out to like counter board wipes and stuff, and it's been fine. But I know that it's not good enough to stay in the deck at this point. But I like it for like this stupid card is blowing you out. So it's kind of like the one card in that deck, which is highly optimized. That's just kind of nonsense.
The main issue with this card is all of its modes are so narrow. How often is making a 1/1 to ramp good?
You really never do that. You can like snipe a utility creature or counter a board wipe.
Yeah, but it's like they have to have the utility creature with the power toughness, or they have to be casting a sorcery specifically while you held up the 2 mana. How long can you do that? Everything is way too niche on this card and way too like
it's a white counterspell.
It's like, but you gotta like wait for the right opportunity. I never liked Warping Whale. BZ has always been
I love the Eldrazi, so this is like a cool Eldrazi instant that I get to play and just go like expropriate. It's just hilarious. But it's not any good.
This would be much cooler if it was actually bring back Tribal. I think Tribal is an awesome and cool mechanic that was never explored again after it was used the first time. Bring it back. I love Tribal. I think it's super cool.
Yeah, and they like weirdly brought it back for Eldrazi the one time, right? There was a Tribal sorcery and a Tribal instant.
Oh, yeah. They did.
But like, what was the point of that?
Yeah, bring it back again. I think Tribal is awesome. All right, my next card. We got Starlight Spectacular. This one is stupid. It is so stupid. It is 5 mana, 3 white. At the beginning of combat on your turn. All right. You pick one of your creatures to get +0/+0. Then the next one gets +1/+1, and you keep until you've selected all of them +2/2/2/2/2 +4/4. And you have to track this. It is so dumb, and I love how silly this card is because it's not just like every creature gets +5/+5 or +6/6. No, you start 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you just keep going up. And the math just gets really silly really quick. It's a dumb card. It is not the best white over on even close. Like, you should be playing your Chroma's Wills, your Kathar's Crusades, and all of these type of cards. Just like 5 or 6 more that are better than this. But this card is so, like, silly.
Spectacular.
I love Like, I did it with Beezy. We literally were like, all right, I'll give this one 1, 2, 3, 4,
I'm like
5,
trying
6.
to do the math on all the buffs, and then you count all the creature power and toughness, and then it's all going at 3 different people, so you don't know.
Yeah, and it doesn't give trample, so it's not like it's overrunning. It's like, nope, we have to actually do I'll block the biggest ones, and what are the smaller ones getting pumped.
Yeah, I just hate this card.
It is horrendous to keep track of. But I think it is like one of the coolest overruns in the way it actually does it. Like, even though this is an uncard and it's designed to be silly, it is cool because it rewards you. The more creatures you have, the bigger the pumps get. But also, like, you don't have to send all your creatures. Like, it's not like all your creatures get +10, +10. It's like just some of them. I think this is a super fair, fun,
What's fair?
and good overrun effect without actually just like breaking the game or being annoying. Like,
Right, so it's all the horrible accounting of Kathar's Crusade without the upside.
without being as good. Yeah,
It's not even good.
It is a much worse card.
All right, I got Helix Pinnacle. This is you can pay any amount of mana to put any number of charge counters on it, and now you need 100, and then you need to make it to your upkeep to win the game with this 1 mana enchantment. It does have Shroud, so no one's like spot removing it off the field. There's still plenty of ways to kill it, but I have it in my Vorinclex deck because it lets you only have to pay 50 mana to win the game, and I like stuff like this where it's just this card's awful. It does literally nothing unless you're winning the game exactly with it. But dang, if you've got a big enough board state and you go off enough, and even if they answer your whole board and they wipe every one of your creatures, you could still say, I made all this mana, win the game.
Okay.
I deserve this.
You are wrong, though. I am going to spot removal your Helix Pinnacle with my
Druid Purification. The card's so good. It doesn't target.
Helix Pinnacle is terrible. I mean, this card is legit awful. It needs 100 counters, and then when everyone knows you have 100 counters, you have to
very visible.
You have to untap with it. So this card is just like, it asks so much of you and gives you nothing.
Gives you nothing unless you win with it.
I mean, again, this card is really cool. Like, it is a fun, unique, and like over the top win con. But it's
like you're right. Like, how much can you complain about somebody winning with Helix Pinnacle? I think it's awesome. It's just not good.
Yeah, it's distinctively not good. All right, from my Tetsuro Umezawa deck, we have Hypnotic Siren, 1/1 flyer for 1. It's also an enchantment, but if you pay 7, you can bestow it, and you control bestowed creature, and it gets +1/+1 in flying.
It just never happens.
It really never happens. I've done this like once out of like all the times I've played it. It really isn't that worth it. This should just be an unblockable creature, realistically.
Some like vanilla, like not vanilla, but some Draft Chaff Slitherblade-esque.
Yeah, I mean, I have like so I think like one of them I don't have, the one with Megamorph.
Or maybe like the Changeling or one of those.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have one of them in my deck.
Tormented Soul.
Like, it should just be some form of unblockable thing because it can be blocked because it's a flyer. But I love the little upside. And I think this is the cutest little interaction.
It's like, it's turn 100. Woo!
Well, I just love it. Like, you get in with your 1/1 early in the game, and then you eventually ninjutsu it back to your hand, and then, you put in whatever big giant threat, and then later somebody else plays a giant threat, and you take control of it. It's like, it's such a cool, fun, unique interaction. It's one of my favorite cards in the whole entire deck. Like,
it seems like it's really cool on paper.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, the 7 mana take control of something is just not a good rate for Commander. It's not what you want to be doing. But it's just the interaction. It literally, everything looks so amazing. And I think it's the cutest, funnest interaction without being like good. Because it's just
irrelevant.
Yeah, it's irrelevant because it's still an enchantment. It's still a very removable permanent.
Yeah.
We don't play mind controls, right? Like, it's not something we're playing. So
I'm not clamoring for a mind control. I like Treachery because it costs 0, but
yeah, but I mean, this is not Treachery.
No, it is not. My next one is a card I have to almost like force myself not to just play in every blue deck. It's Preordain, and I don't know what it is about Preordain because there's a bunch of different cantrips, and I almost don't care about any of them. But something about Preordain, I don't know what happened to me that I love casting Preordain. I think it's the most satisfying card to cast. It's not too lengthy like Ponder or Brainstorm. It's not low impact like Consider. It's just like you get a little bit of choice. You get to look at 3 cards maybe to find a land or whatever you need, and it's just boom, the card's over. I love Preordain so much. So anytime I could play it, I do.
This card's weird to me because like I could not care less.
It's just whatever.
It's literally just it's a
Power-wise.
cantrip. Cantrips are fine in like very specific decks that want to play cantrips. There's not many of them.
Mostly Spellslinger.
Mostly Spellslingers, maybe some other types of decks. There's not many. You really don't want to be playing Preordain. It's just this weird filler, and it's not good enough to like. It's not a good enough cantrip to just put and throw in any deck. Like in Commander, when we're trying to smooth out our draws in something like a 60-card format, Preordain's incredible.
It's banned in Modern.
It's banned in Modern. It is played in Legacy. It is restricted in Vintage. I mean, this card is really, really good. It's just, I don't care about it. It's like
Commander decks don't really need these cantrips just in general, but I love this one specifically, and this even traces into like Commander Cube Commander Legends and Commander Legends Baldur's Gate. I think they all had preordain, and I'm just maybe not Baldur's Gate, but I'm just picking it every single time. I'm taking so many preordains. I would love for my decks in limited to have 7 preordains in them because it's so goofy.
Yeah, I mean, the card's bad.
I love it. I love spinning my wheels. I can't get enough.
All right, want to talk about goofy limited cards
from Baldur's Gate?
From Baldur's Gate, we have You Look Upon the Tarrasque, 5 mana, and you can either prevent all combat damage that will be dealt to you or creatures you control, or you can do the other mode, which is target creature gets +5/+5, indestructible, and it has to be blocked by every creature that can do so.
And it's kind of like an overrun.
It's kind of like an overrun. Lets all your other creatures sneak through, because if you attack with, let's just say, a 1/1 that you gave +5/+5, you get in with it, and then they have to block everything on this, and all your other creatures get through.
So if you had 16 other power, they take 16.
Exactly. Where I play this, and I think it is the worst card of the deck. It's not close.
I don't even know where you play this.
I play bad cards. It's in Thalia and the Gitrog Monster.
Oh.
And Thalia and the Gitrog Monster has First Strike and Death Touch. It's a 4/4.
That's pretty cool.
So when we give it +5/+5, all right.
It's a board wipe.
We swing with our 9 up to 9 creatures. Their best 9 creatures are forced to block this, and we just kill them all. And all of our other creatures sneak through. Card is bad. I mean, first thing, I have to target my commander with this.
Just play overrun.
Yeah, just play an overrun. I have to target my commander. People are gonna remove it all the time in response to this. They're gonna see it coming. It only hits one board. There's a million things that aren't good about this card, but it is, again, just like Hypnotic, it is a cool interaction. It is really fun.
The lure effect.
Exactly. It's a lure one time on one creature. But because there's First Strike and Death Touch, it's not like I can kill 9 toughness. Like, I can kill 9 creatures because we have Death Touch and First Strike on this thing.
Maybe you could try stuff like Provoke in that deck where you untap something's creature and they have to block.
Ooh.
We're causing chaos. I got Cut to Ribbons. I've talked about this card a few times, actually. I just really enjoy it as it's like a concession of power. Like, I don't really want to play Torment to Hailfire anymore. I kind of find it anticlimactic. It's a little bit lame for me. Cut to Ribbons is like the perfect balance of, like, I'm intentionally lowering my power level. I think the name Cut to Ribbons is half the fun. But you get to mediocre removal spell on the front side, and then if you mill it or you cast it, it's in the graveyard for later, and you can make everybody lose like 12 in the late game. Like, it's totally face up. I think it's completely fair, and I actually have had reasonable enough success in our lower power anti-combo meta with it, where it's like, yeah, this is a lower version of Torment to Hailfire.
This is the first and maybe only card we both play on this list in decks.
And it's because, like, we play a bad card because we want a worse effect to not just end the game immediately every time.
Exactly. I play like a slow burnout Zyra deck, where the whole thing is I do pings, hit everyone for 2, 3, 2.
Both our decks that have this do that.
It's a slow ping them out. Everyone goes down to like 10 life, and then, like you said, you just boom, 10 damage.
Ribbons.
You
put ribbons on the stack.
You ribbons them to death at the end of the game. Yeah, just. This card, again, not good, not efficient, not doing its thing. It's a bad removal spell on the front side. It's a bad drain spell on the back side. But it adds up to this mediocre card that, like you said, it's a good concession of power when you're trying to make the deck more fun, when you don't just want to go, oh boy, Torment Hellfire for 32. Again.
Shouldn't have let me get to turn 10, idiot. Boom.
Again.
I'm not in for that. What do you have? These cards really stink.
I got a couple of cards that kind of go together. First is Bone Crusher Giant. It has Stomp, which means you can deal 2 damage to a creature, and then it goes on an adventure.
Watch out. Damage can't be prevented this turn.
Yep. And then you get a 4/3. Actually, that it could be relevant. I would love to see a Fog.
And you anti-fog. They go, look upon the Tarrasque. You're like, no.
They go, oh, you attack them with like 100 damage. You're like, haha, I'm going to win Ink Shield. And you're like, Stomp. This card is not very good. But I love the art.
We haven't even gotten to the second half.
I love the storybook part of it, and I love the way this card looks. But it's only in the deck because I'm playing Faldorn, who wants me to cast from exile. But the 4/3 is terrible.
Right, the other side's a 4/3 for 3.
That's the worst part of it. That's what's so terrible. It's like, maybe if it had some actual of a creature. Other card, just like it, Beanstalk Giant. 3 mana, go get a land onto the field untapped, a basic land, and then 7 mana, its power and toughness are equal to your lands. Again, the creature is just not relevant.
Yeah, the spell's okay.
It's okay, but it's just this trumpable creature that's never getting through. It's like, oh, it's going to be an 18/18. When are you ever going to hit with it? Both these cards are just adventure cards that I find very fun. I thought the adventure mechanic was extremely cool, but they didn't quite make enough cards that were good enough for Commander.
They were good in every other format.
Exactly, but they did. They made them good enough for like 60 card formats, but not Commander. And it's like they ended up printing like a new one, Takali something.
Oh, Tecatli Squidman?
Whatever. It's Takali
Scorpion Boy?
Scorpions, that thing. And like that thing is an actual good one. I want more of these. I love adventure. I think adventure is such a cool mechanic. I like that on the front, like on this side, you get a spell. On the other side, you get a creature. It's really
Baldur's
cool.
Gate gave us a lot more that were close.
The closer, but they still weren't that great. They were still pretty medium. Even the rares were like not very playable outside of the limited format.
Yep. My next one is Staff of Nin, 6 mana for an artifact at the beginning of your upkeep. You draw an extra card, and you can tap it to deal 1 damage to any target. This card is so freaking bad, but it is another Brutaclad inclusion where I'm trying to spice up the deck. I thought I was going to have to take the deck apart because it was boring me to tears. So adding stuff like Staff of Nin to it as a goal for the deck where I want to make a copy of it and then make like 16 Staff of Nins to draw half my deck and then ping everybody to death, direct damage. That's hilarious. It actually has worked multiple times now. Really funny thing to go for. The card is not threatening at all, but it's funny that you know what I'm trying to do, and it is like a goofy off-the-wall win condition. And if I ever get to untap with Staff of Nin, I am very surprised, and I go, oh my god, an extra card. I'm doing it.
We're telling you not to play Phyrexian Arena, and this is like way worse than
as much mana.
It's 6 mana, draw 1 extra card or 2.
You just get to redirect the 1 life you would lose.
And I mean, the ping is nothing, right? The ping is, it's not nothing. It's next to nothing.
I've enjoyed going end step. Ping your face, Joe.
Yeah,
it's like that's always fun.
Yeah, Staff of Nin is so overcosted, and like this is a card when I first started playing Commander. I'm like, this is so good in Commander. I draw an extra card every turn. They're never gonna be able to stop me.
In like
Maelstrom Wanderer. I cascaded into my Staff of Nin. It's over.
Game over. Yeah, this card is horrendous. But I think it makes for really fun, tension-filled games in the right deck.
Okay, this next one I play a whole dice rolling deck, so I play a ton of cards that basically are terrible.
Too many.
The whole deck is pretty much terrible, but my favorite one that I would never cut from the deck for anything, even though it is actively dead, like a good percentage of the time. When you have cards in your hand, you're drawing cards, it's dead. It's the deck of many things. It's a 5 mana do nothing artifact. So you've played 5 mana, you've got an artifact. That's all you've got.
That's pretty good.
Pay 2, tap it, roll a d20, and then whatever the result is, minus your hand size from it. If you roll 1 through 9, you return a card at random from your graveyard to your hand. If you roll a 10 through 19, you get to draw 2 cards. And then if you roll a 20, you can return any creature from any graveyard to the battlefield. The one that creature leaves or dies, one of those two, that the player whose owner it is loses the game.
So you bring back their Grave Titan under your control, and now it says when it leaves you, the owner, lose, so I can sack it or whatever. But then that's not possible unless you have an empty hand, right?
Yes, so you have to have a completely empty hand, and then even with 2 dice rolls, you have to roll a nat 20. You have to get a 20 on this dice, and then you can return something and do this thing. It never happens. Your hand is basically never empty enough. Returning a card at random is really bad. So 1 through 9 is basically nothing. So you don't want to do that because your graveyard's going to always have bad stuff in it. That's
like a fetch land or something.
Like a fetch land or a random card. So, all right, we're not interested in that super much. So we're looking to draw 2 cards. We're minusing our hand. I mean, it's 7 mana for 1 activation on this thing. Rolling a 20 is just, it's not viable to do. You have, like you said, you have to have an empty hand and then roll a 20. And even when you get the extra dice roll, like Will does in the deck, it just doesn't matter. This card is...
But hold on. Now what do we get? We get a creature in play, has to leave, 1 person loses the game. Yeah. We still have 2 opponents.
Yeah, exactly. So this card is cool, and I love like the flavor of the D&D. This is the book of many things. You don't know what's going to happen when you use it, you know?
And that's why it's bad.
And it's like, yeah, it's bad. You don't know what's going to happen. It's not very good. And it minuses your hand. So it's like, oh, I'm actually doing good this game. I have 7 cards in hand.
This card sucks.
This card is Texas. This is a 5 mana do nothing. I don't want to return random cards to my graveyard.
It's not like you said this card is Texas.
This
card is Texas.
This card is Texas.
Doesn't do anything. All right, I have Dovin Grand Arbiter, another 3 mana planeswalker. I actually started playing this one because I really like the artwork, and I think the ultimate is cool because it's easy to get to if you're plussing and hitting people. So I kind of basically am just forcing it into a deck because I really like the design of it. And I don't get to play it anywhere. That's really what it is. You +1, any number of creatures that hit an opponent this turn, you get an extra loyalty on Dovin. You +1 to make a Thopter and gain a life, or you -9 to like do a super mega dig through time where you look at the top 10 and take 3 of them. It's just cool. It's just not good.
I wonder, what is the worst card that we play here? It's Helix Pinnacle. Wait, but this is close.
Man, I love
this
Dovin.
is one of the worst cards. You have to jump through hoops to get to a point to do a dig through time when you can just play dig through time. It's like why you spend 3 mana and jump through 3 hoops to get like a slightly better dig through time.
It's a Thopter. Oh, actually, I think it's a -1 to Megatopter.
He's terrible.
Not a +1.
I mean, this card really is not good. I mean, it's fine, whatever. I mean, we're talking about. I just really like this card's design. I think it is really cool. I just wish they had made it a little stronger.
Yeah, I don't know what it would have to really say. Maybe if it was actually a +1 to Megatopter and not a -1, like I think it actually is.
Yeah, I mean, that might be the issue. I mean, these cards aren't about being good. I just think this card is.
It's cool. Dovin, you did something right, but now you're dead in the lore.
Maybe.
No, he's dead.
Yeah, that's what you think.
He's really dead.
He might be back.
No one's more dead than Dovin.
I mean, we saw Venture's corpse. Come on, you don't think?
Yeah, but he's not back as a Planeswalker.
Yeah, but he could come back. All right, next we have a Planeswalker for myself, and it is Louth, Spider Queen.
So much better than Dovin.
It is so much better than Dovin, and it's still very bad. But I love this card. This is one of my favorite Planeswalkers because, again, it has a unique way of getting loyalty. 5 mana, it can -3 to make 2/1 spiders with reach.
And Menace.
Why are they 2/1s? Who knows? It's really weird. 0, lose life, draw a card. We got Phyrexian Arena. Oh boy.
Nailed it.
And then we can -8, and whenever an opponent takes combat damage from you, if it's less than 8, it gets put 2/8. I mean, that's not very good at all.
That's like one of the worst emblems on a Planeswalker ever. I mean, it's worse than like Dovin's ultimate, but it's easy to get there.
But it gets loyalty whenever a creature dies.
Right, that's the thing that makes it, you can ultimate right away if you want.
So basically, you always play this thing minus to get 2 spiders right away, which are going to return loyalty eventually to it. You keep playing creatures, and then it's awesome when it's a board wipe, and you get this thing with like, I've had this with like 12 loyalty counts. I don't want to ultimate it.
It's like 0.
I'm just like, no, I'm like, make 2 spiders.
Make 2 spiders.
Make 2 spiders, draw a card.
That's the secret ultimate.
I mean, I absolutely love this card. I really don't think it's very good. I think that because the ultimate, I think they made a good choice in making the ultimate not that strong. I just wish it had a better effect for Commander because it really is a weak Commander effect. I wish that this applied to non-combat damage.
Yeah.
Then we could do something with it. Maybe jump through some hoops, but. It has to be combat damage. I mean, I have to connect for with a 1/1 to get the most out of it. When you're getting the most,
I wish we could balance it so that it said whenever a creature hits, it hits for 8. You know, you balance up to 8, so that, like every creature's huge, and then just make the ultimate like 7 more loyalty or something.
But it's not. It's flavorful because it's 8.
Well, I know what I'm saying. We can make every creature hit for 8 instead of having it be 8 total. Just give it more make it more loyalty to ultimate.
Yeah, make it 88. There you go. That's
-88. There you go.
Yeah.
All your creatures are 88/88s. My next one is Titanoth Rex. This is like a big, janky vanilla. I just love that they made a 9 mana, 11/11 trampler that actually does cycle to give something trample permanently. So it's like a decent effect on both sides. It's just, you're never going to play this in anything. I do have it in a budget deck, and I have had it in other decks where I play it when I shouldn't, because I just love that it's kind of like never dead. You cycle it if you don't need it, and then sometimes, and like in my Sfella deck, oh my god, it's Titanoth Rex for the low price of 8 mana off a spell activation.
I actually do think that Titanoth Rex is one. It's a card, unlike a lot of these in this list, where it's like basically there's no deck for almost any of the cards that we're talking about. This one I think has homes at least. Like
it definitely goes in some decks. Like Skullbriar, you just play this card.
Yeah, the way you're playing it and the decks you're putting it in, it's like.
It's trying to maybe get an 11/11.
Yeah, you're trying to get maybe an 11/11 cheat into play sometimes. Like, it's in a budget deck.
Yeah.
And, like, you're doing stuff like that where it's fun. Like, Cathrol, the keyword insect thing, that thing legit wants this card. And the thing is, you're playing it as, like, I want to cheat this 11/11.
Look how big it is.
Like, it's such a big
Watch out, it's got trample.
But it also has a Godzilla card. I mean, I want to play. I should probably play more Godzilla cards. I love the Godzilla cards.
That is a factor. I think I just play the original art, though.
But that art's boop.
I kind of just like it. I like both.
Have you seen Godzilla?
I have played both in the same.
Did you know Godzilla is one of the coolest things ever?
I mix and match.
This is Titanoth Rex doesn't even sound cool.
It sounds pretty cool.
Have you heard of Godzilla?
Titanoth Rex.
Have you okay? Titanoth Rex, Godzilla.
Godzilla is very funny. It's a very funny name.
It's also the coolest thing ever. He's a giant lizard.
Wow.
Dragon dinosaur.
Swearing.
I did
dropped an F-bomb.
I didn't hear it the best. It's a lizard, a giant lizard dinosaur that breeds like electric fire. I don't know. I don't know how anyone can ever say Godzilla's not.
11/11s are cool.
Godzilla is way cooler than a Titanoth Rex.
Speaking of Titan,
we have Reaver Titan, which is a 7 mana 10/10 vehicle. It's got
weak stats.
Yeah, it's got crew 4. You get all your creatures into this thing, and then when it attacks, deals 5 to each opponent.
And it's indestructible, right?
No,
it has protection from mana value 3 or less.
So this is a big, giant mech. Now, what I really want is this. This should be like some sort of like Pacific Rim crossover.
Should be Godzilla, apparently, according to you.
I don't know what this thing should be. I feel like this needs like this. I know this is from Warhammer 40K, but I want it to be even
You
cooler.
just want it to be Godzilla.
I don't. It doesn't need to be Godzilla. It could be. This is like a Megazord type thing.
Ooh.
That's what I want. Like you have to crew 4. I would move the crew to 5.
Yeah, what's the Jason voice? Like, Power Sword!
We need the power sword!
You know, one of those? That kind of sound like Rocky.
Oh yeah, but this card is it's big, giant robot that does a ton of damage. When you attack, it gets in for 15
big
damage.
boy.
It does have protection from a lot of the good removal spells in the format, and it can't be chump blocked by the tiny little things. You got to put something with 4 mana value in front of this thing, so that's got to be something pretty chunky. It's just such a cool big card.
This is in the Commander Cube, and it's like perfect at home there.
You have to jump through hoops, right, to get this big 10-10. It's just such a big hoop to jump through to get there, to get this attack in. I have to crew it, and once I've crewed it, now everyone knows I'm going to attack. Everyone knows they're taking 5, and this 10-10 is coming at somebody. How often is this thing going to get it to attack? Almost never.
It's a pretty big setup cost. But
But
a lot of mana.
I love it. Big giant robots are cool, right?
I love all these cards. I mean, these cards are super sweet. I think if you're looking for our pet cards, though, cards that are just like, not even close, and we love them to death, that's a whole video in and of itself, and I think we have it right here. So you get to crawl into the depths of our brains and learn what we're thinking more with that video.
Will BZ ever remember that the card is over there now? Bye. Peace out, Tribe Scouts.